South Korea, main climate is continental type, which is characterized by great temperature variance during the year. In the north of regions of the country, it's common for temperatures to below zero C in winter, but snow only here the mountains of the Tibet. Still, the record of temperature Still, the record of temperatures of -20 degrees, while the maximum temperature is no more than 13 degrees. Gyeongbokgung, also known as Gyeongbokgung Palace or Gyeongbokgung Palace, is a royal palace located in Jeongnam-gu, north of South Korea.
Hi, today I'm going to present the flag from South Korea. The Korean flag has the colors white, black, red, and blue. The white color is from the background of the flag, representing the traditional color of Korea, and means purity and peace. The circle from the middle of the flag represents a balance in the universe. The red color represents positive force, and the blue represents negative force. There are signs in the flag with the black color, which represents four classical elements: the justice, fruition, wisdom, and vitality. This flag has the meaning of Korean resistance during the Japanese occupation during 1910 and 1945. The actual flag was made in June 1948. Here is a picture from the flag before and after the transformation.
Hi, my name is Antonio, my country is South Korea, and I'm going to talk about history part 1. Around AD 658, several competing kingdoms were unified into a single dominion on the Korean peninsula. Successive regimes maintained Korean political and cultural independence for more than 1,000 years. The last of these ruling kingdoms would be the Chosun dynasty, on 1392 to 1910. After surviving invasions by Japan, after the end of the 16th century, and the Manchus of East Asia in the early 17th, Korea chose to limit its contact with the outside world. A 250 world-long period of peace followed, with few Koreans traveling outside their isolated country. This began to change in the late 19th century, when the Western powers like Britain, France, and the United States made efforts to open trade and diplomatic relations with Korea, with little success.
Second attempt of making a video about South Korea part 2. So after World War II, Japan stopped ruling Korea, and then it was divided into two parts: the North ruled by the Soviet Union, and the South ruled by the United States. Then the North invaded the South, but it didn't in anything as they side that choose. After the war, South Korea had the dictatorial regime ruled by Ri, that was the first president, but he was basically exiled in Hawaii, after all. Then, after that, his successor, General Park, also began a dictatorial regime and was killed by South Korean Central Intelligence. After that, the General Choi was elected, but he was commanded by General Chung. That obligated him to renunciate power to Chung, get the president power. So they approved a new constitution. Chung chose Captain Roh to be his candidate in the election, so Roh got the government. After some time, Roh was succeeded by Kim, who was the first civilian president in 30 years of South Korean history. Kim began severe investigation on political crimes and discovered his two successors were corrupt, so they went to prison. After that, South Korea was going very well, but they entered in crisis, and another Kim got the power. And he was succeeded by another Roh, who was succeeded by Lee. Then Lee was succeeded by Park Jung-hye, that was the first woman president of South Korea. But she was impeached because she was corrupt. Then nowadays is the actual president, Mr. Moon. Acabou.
We're now going to talk about North Korea and South Korea relations, two countries that are in Asia and were once a single country. In the start, both countries were a single country, but then they were divided after the end of World War II because the Japanese were in control of the country, and when they surrendered, it was divided by the USA and the Soviet Union because the Americans were worried about the Soviets taking full control over the country. The south part was now of the USA, and the north part was of the Soviets. Then the Soviet Union started to promote communism in its part, and Kim Il-sung, that served their army, became the biggest political figure. And in the south, they were extremely against communism, and in the end, they voted Syngman Rhee as their president. And in their north, they made a republic with Kim Il-sung as the prime minister, and then both the Soviets and the Americans military left. But then, in 1950, the North invaded the South, and the Korean War started with USA helping the South and China helping the North. Then in 1953 the war ended and the Korean Demilitarized Zone was created. The Korean Demilitarized Zone is a barrier, and in some parts there are checkpoints with military. Nowadays in North Korea, there's a dictatorship of the Kim family. In the south they have a capitalist democracy and both countries still haven't signed a peace treaty. So even though they are not attacking each other, they are still in conflict. So, as we can see, a huge factor for Korea to be divided until nowadays was a world political dispute between the communists and the capitalists. Well, that was everything for today about North Korea and South Korea relations. Bye.
The official language of South Korea is Korean, called Hangul in the south and Choseonmal in the north. It's spoken by about 77 million people and it's a language isolate, which means it doesn't descend from other languages. The Korean alphabet is a Hangul, and it consists of 14 consonants and 10 vowels. The letters of the alphabet are arranged in blocks, and each syllable contains individual phonetically pronounced letters, like the Latin alphabet. They read and write from the left to the right and from the top to the bottom of the page. The Korean language was created in a time where the official language was Chinese, and only the richest and most important people could learn it, as it was a very difficult language. Their leader, King Sejong the Great, then decided to create a new language, which would be a simpler version of Chinese. That's why over 50% of Korean words come from Chinese. When Japan ruled over Korea, the language almost died, because they were only allowed to speak Japanese. But people continued speaking Korean in secret, and that's why the language is still alive. The majority of Koreans who are under 40 years old know how to speak at least the basics of English. Having English as a second language started after World War II, when South Korea started trading with the US.
South Korea was established in 1948 Democratic Republic. Its official name is the Republic of Korea. Its Constitution of 1987 provides three separate branches of the government: executive, legislative, and judicial. And its constitution also provides a system of checks and balances. The executive branch of the government is headed by the president. The president is the head of the state government and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. The president is elected by a direct popular vote for one 5-year term. There is no vice president. The State Council, which serves the President's cabinet, is composed by the President, the Prime Minister, and the heads of the executive ministries. The Prime Minister is appointed by the President and is approved by the National Assembly. The Supreme Court is the court of final appeal. It also determines the constitutionality of government regulation and decrees. All citizens over the age of 19 have the right to vote. The president nowadays of South Korea is Moon Jae-in, and he has been in his post since 10th of May of 2017.
Economy. South Korea has transformed itself from a poor agricultural society to one of the most industrialized countries in the world. In the 1980s, the government began to reduce its role in the economy, although it continued to present its 5-year plans. In 1990, the economy advanced further in the direction of private ownership and control. After 6 years, South Korea joined the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, international organization with the aim of stimulating economic progress in the world trade. The dominant force in South Korea's economy is the big business conglomerate
called chaebol. Chaebol control much of the country's industries and received favorable treatment from the government. The government took steps to loosen its ties and to conglomerate and make them more open and accountable in their operations. The biggest and most powerful chaebol include automaker Hyundai and electronics companies Samsung and LG.
South Korea is one of the top performing countries in reading literacy, mathematics, and science, with an average student score about 519, compared with the OECD average of 493. This country has one of the world's best education, being known also for its obsession with it, which has also been called education fever. Their education is provided by both public schools and private schools. The Korean public education structure is divided into three main parts. 6 years of primary schools, followed by 3 years of middle school, and then 3 years of high school. Children between the ages of 6 and 15 are required to attend school in South Korea. South Korea offers free half-day public schools called kindergarten for 3 to 5 years old. At 15 years old, South Korean students decide to continue their education and by completing an entrance exam and committing to an academic senior secondary school or a vocational senior secondary school. Some interesting facts. Korean high school students have a 16-hour school day. The average high school student generally has class from about 8 a.m. until 9 or 10 p.m. Koreans have school on Saturdays. The official school days were originally Monday to Saturday. However, since 2010, the school schedule has changed and loosened a bit up. Now the Korean public school system has 2 Saturdays per month off. And the last interesting fact is that corporal punishment is still used in some schools. These types of punishment used to be allowed and now is somehow tolerated. And now the school system has been repressing this abuse, but it still happens in some schools. Usually the disciplinarian is a male teacher.
Hello humans, it's Gabriel here, and today I am going to present my international festival work which talks about the religions in South Korea. I am going to make a previous explanation about the fun facts and the history of each religion. Well, let's start! First of all, here we are going to talk about the religions that it has in South Korea, which are Protestant Christianism, Korean Buddhism, Catholic Christianism, others, and major of the people in South Korea don't have a religion at all. Well, this is really interesting. Let's go to the next fun facts. Well, over here we are talking about the history of Christianism and Buddhism, which the Christianism starts with Jesus and God and etc. Buddhism is a non-theistic philosophy religion that talks about gods. Well, our fun fact is that South Korea has no major religious group, and the plurality of people with no religion affiliation is 46%, while Christianism is 29% and Buddhism 23%. The share of Christianism in South Korea is 29% and is much smaller than the US was. Well, the information that I collected was from Wikipedia, Pew Research, Korea Bridge, and some works of the past, which are basically PowerPoint presentations. So, well, this was my short explanation, and I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time!
Hi! Now I'm going to talk about South Korea's cultural traditions. In South Korea, there's a lot of Chinese and Japanese influence. The best example is Confucianism. In Confucianism, there is an ethical code that can conduct them in social life. In South Korea's culture, it is all based on politeness and respect. Through it, they should wait for the elders to sit first. Then, the guest will say, "I will enjoy the meal" in Korean as a sign of respect to the host. Instead of shaking hands, people bow. The family is the most important part in the Korean society. The father is the family leader and they use as a hierarchy structure. The kids must respect the elders, obey and help their parents. When they grow up, they should live with them because it's their duty to take care of their parents. Like in all countries, South Korea has many important holidays and festivals. There are festivals with color, happiness and life, but most of them are to celebrate agriculture and harvest. Hanshi, or Cold Food Festival, is a popular celebration that marks the beginning of the harvest season. The Donji is celebrated 105 days after the winter solstice. The most important holiday in South Korea is the Lunar New Year's Day. In this holiday, Koreans make a soup. That is this one here. The gravaron celebrates the 15th day of the missed month of the lunar calendar. People eat a dish made with 5 grains and with vegetables. Another celebration includes 100th birthday and also the first birthday of their babies. They also do a big banquet with a ritual, praying for the baby's health, success in life, and a long life.
Hi, my name is Isabella, and today I will speak about traditional South Korean clothing. So their traditional clothing is called a hanbok, and there's a version for men and there's a version for women. So women's outfits usually consist of several different layers. First, they would put the donjegong, and the donjegong is basically just a white shirt, which by the end of when everything is put together, the outfit is done, you would usually only see the collar of it and cuffs. Then they would add the beret, and the beret is basically just another shirt, and this shirt can be colorful, you can add prints to it, you can add embroideries, just give it your own touch. And the sleeves will usually be just 3/4, so you can see the cuffs of the donjegong. Then some women decide to wear a vest. Usually younger women don't wear this vest, which is called the jeogorgi. And the jeogori is usually worn by older women, as I said, and you can wear it a little bit open or completely shut. Then they would put a really nice long skirt which would cover your feet called a chima, and the chima has different patterns to it. It can be different colors, and it's just very flowy and big. And lastly, for the finishing touch, they would add a little sort of bow, a ribbon, which is called the altgerium, and it just adds the final touch to the outfit. Men's clothing, on the other hand, is a bit more simple. So they will wear a shirt, and then on top of that shirt, they will usually wear this robe, which is called a durimaji. And the durimaji can have short sleeves or long sleeves, and usually there will be a belt kind of below the chest. Then underneath, they'll wear pants called baji and shoes that are called kotsin, which are kind of like tap shoes or formal shoes. And then on the top of their head, as like a final detail, they can wear this hat called gat. Nowadays, you probably won't see anyone wearing a hanbok on the street unless it's for a special event or a holiday, like the Silal, which is the Korean New Year, and in Korean Thanksgiving, which women wear it to this nice traditional dance, which they do it holding hands in a circle. But nowadays, there are designers that are trying to make a modern version of the hanbok.
Hello, my name is Beatriz and I'm from 8th grade. Today I'm going to talk about the traditional foods and drinks of South Korea. Starting with the sweet food, we have hotteok. Hotteok is a traditional street food from South Korea, which is mainly consumed during winter. Hotteok is a sweet pancake with a cinnamon filling inside. Hotteok may seem small, but one single pancake can consist over 200 calories because of the high level of sugar. The next dish is a sour dish, which is called bulgogi. Bulgogi is the marinated beef barbecue, which is usually served with rice, cucumber, carrots, and shiitake mushrooms. The bulgogi was first created during the Goryeo era, and it was just served for high-class people, the most important people at the time. Last but not least, we have kimchi. Kimchi is definitely the most popular food from South Korea. This dish consists in fermented vegetables such as cabbage, radish, cucumber, and many others. Kimchi was first created during the period of the Three Kingdoms, where fermented food was very popular and affordable for all Koreans. Kimchi changed a lot during the years, because at first it was not a spicy dish because they wouldn't temper foods with pepper and garlic. Now, going on to the drinks, we have the omjacha, which is a magnolia berry tea, and it can be made by boiling magnolia berries in hot water and then adding honey. Not only the taste, but this tea also have many health benefits. The most traditional alcoholic drinks from South Korea are the rice wines that are made with the aid of yeast and naruk. The main varieties are the rice wines, the milky rice wines, the flour wines, and others.
Hi, I'm Manuela. I'm from 8th grade, and today I'm going to talk about South Korean music. South Korean music is very diverse. They have the traditional music, also known as kurak, and the recent music like K-pop. The Korean music combines vocals and instrumentals, forming a beautiful and very emotional songs. The first evidence of music appeared in 1145, where two string instruments were described, the kayagung and the komungo. In the Chosun dynasty, there were two types of music, jeongkak, also known as Orthodox music, and the minsokak, also known as the people's music. The jeongkak was played in banquets, rituals, and military processions. The minsokak, or the people's music, has also different types, like pansori, mangmo, mirio, and nori. The pansori is performed by a solo singer and a percussionist. It contains body language, sounds of nature, and a lot of emotion. The shaman music was also very popular. It was played in rituals, sung and danced in tribes. It was also made by female Korean shamans using the combination of musical instruments. In the rituals, they used flutes, double reeds, fiddles, and other drums. Nowadays, the music changed a lot, and the K-pop became popular in the 90s. It's a modern South Korean pop, and it's influenced by styles and genres from all around the world. Some are very famous boy bands, like BTS and EXO, and some are very famous female bands, like Blackpink and Twice. This is just a little about the diverse South Korean music. I hope you liked. Bye!
Hi, I'm talking about Korean traditional dances. The first dance I'm going to be talking about is the Sangmu dance. The Sangmu dance is a dance originally played and danced by monks. It's accompanied by a Buddhist music game with 8 tracks. The dancer's expression changes throughout each section of the performance. They're using a white hoodie that's called a gotkal, and these long sleeves are called gaza. This is considered by many Koreans and many people one of the most beautiful and elaborate traditional dances in Korea. The next dance I'm going to be talking about is the Hallangmu dance. It's a folk dance featuring the life of the Joseon dynasty. It was first performed in stunt group stage shows to poor people, and since 1910 it's been performed in jiseng houses and parties. The dance is rooted in the lives of the Hallangmu, so it has no fixed structure to the dance, and the themes range from their daily lives to their love lives. Now I'm going to be talking about the Buchechung dance, also known as the fan dance, performed by women in colorful hanbok and using beautiful designed fans. This dance was danced to commemorate the worship ceremony of the gods. But now it's danced in various annual festivals and events. The women use their fans to create beautiful designs such as flower, waves, and many more.
My name is Adara. I'm from 8th grade and I'm going to talk about Korean arts. Korean arts includes traditions in calligraphy, music, painting, and pottery, often marked by the use of natural forms, surface decoration, and bold colors or sounds. The Goryeo dynasty that started from 1980 until 1392 was one of the most prolific periods for a wide range of disciplines, especially pottery. The Korean art market is concentrated in the Incheon district of Seoul, where over 50 small galleries exhibit and occasional fine arts auditions. Galleries are cooperatively run, small and often with curated and finely designed exhibits. In every town there are small regional galleries, with local artists showing in traditional and contemporary media. Art galleries usually have a mix of media. Attempts at bringing Western conceptual art into the foreground have usually had their best success outside of Korea, in New York, San Francisco, London, and Paris. The earliest examples of Korean art consist of Stone Age works dating from 3000 before Christ. This mainly consists of votive sculptures, more recently petroglyphs, which were rediscovered. This early period was followed by the art style of various Korean kingdoms and dynasties. Korean artists sometimes modified Chinese traditions with a native preference for simple elegance, spontaneity, and an appreciation for purity of nature.
Hello, my name is Vinicius and today I will talk about sports in South Korea. The first most common sport in South Korea is Taekwondo. The main objective of Taekwondo is to train respected human beings in every way. Taekwondo is an originally Korean martial art which would have appeared around the 7th century. Nowadays, after Taekwondo has spread around the world, the places where this fight is practiced are martial arts academies, which exist in most cities in Brazil. In competitions, Taekwondo athletes must hit their opponents with their feet and hands to score points or knock them out. Now the second and last most common sport in South Korea is baseball. Baseball is a sport practiced by two teams of 9 players who occupy the positions of attack and defense. The goal is to score by hitting a ball with a stick and then running across the 4 bases of the field. A baseball field occupies an area equivalent to almost 2 football fields.
Hi, my name is Noella, and I'm from 8th grade. Today I'm going to talk about the famous person in South Korea. Kim Sung-yoo is a popular Korean actor known for his different roles in many famous movies and TV series. Kim was raised in Seoul and was not popular at school. In fact, he was the opposite. A shy, timid, low-confidence teenager that can't talk to strangers even though he's not nervous. So his mother took him out of the stage, and Kim started acting to challenge himself further. The second one we have is Ken Jeong. He is a Korean-American actor famous for playing Leslie Cheung's role in The Hangover. In addition, he also earned an important reputation playing the role of Bang Chang in the famous Community. Kim's family originally came from South Korea, but he grew up in North Carolina. When he was in school, he was an outstanding student and received many student honors. He began to work medicine in New Orleans as a doctor, but after he started doing comedy. Now we have the COG. She was born in April 6, 1990 in the capital of South Korea. She's a South Korean actress famous for her performance in TV shows like The Diary of The Night Watcher and The Last. Now we have Jungkook. He was born in 1997 in Busan. He's a singer, dancer, and a rapper of the Korean music band Bangtan Boys, or BTS. He's the youngest member of the hip-hop band, which also have Kim, Jimin, and others. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Bye!